Crime and Punishment was first published in 1866 in the literary magazine The Russian Messenger in 12 parts. That same year it was also published as a book. This was Dostoevsky's second major novel after returning from Siberia, and it's considered his first great novel from his mature period. The story revolves around Rodion Raskolnikov, a poor former student. He lives in St. Petersburg and is trapped in mental anguish and moral dilemmas. Raskolnikov devises a plan and plots to murder a despised pawnbroker old woman to take her money and alleviate his poverty. He also thinks that by doing so, he'll rid the world of a bad and useless person. Raskolnikov wants to become an extraordinary man, like Napoleon. He believes that killing for a higher purpose is justified. Dostoevsky conceived the idea of Crime and Punishment in the summer of 1865. By then he had lost most of his savings in gambling and couldn't even pay his bills. He didn't have money for food. At that time he was deeply in debt and was also helping his brother Mikhail's family, who had died in 1864. Initially the project was titled The Drunkards and was based on the problem of alcoholism, but when Dostoevsky created the character of Raskolnikov and his crime, he drew inspiration from the story of Pierre-François Lacenaire. The alcohol theme later moved to the Marmeladov family's story. Dostoevsky considered this story a short tale until then, not a novel. So Dostoevsky offered this story to publisher Mikhail Katkov. Katkov's monthly magazine, The Russian Messenger, was very famous at the time. It featured works by great writers like Ivan Turgenev and Leo Tolstoy. In a letter to Katkov in September 1865, Dostoevsky explained that the story is about a young man who succumbs to some strange, unfinished and floating ideologies. Through this novel, Dostoevsky wanted to show the moral and psychological dangers of the radical ideas emerging in society. In letters written in November 1865, he decided to turn this story into a novel. Time was short, so Dostoevsky had to work quickly to complete both The Gambler and Crime and Punishment. During this difficult time, a stenographer named Anna Snitkina helped him a lot, who later became his second wife. The first part of the novel was published in January 1866 in The Russian Messenger, and the last part in December 1866. The first part became very popular as soon as it was published. One critic wrote, "This novel is going to be one of the author's most important works." Writer Nikolai Strakov recalled that in 1866, Crime and Punishment was the most famous book in Russia. It was a very hot evening, early July. A young boy came out of his small room. He was walking slowly, as if thinking, heading towards the K Bridge. He managed to avoid meeting his landlady on the stairs. His room was on the top floor, under the roof. It felt more like a cupboard than a room. The landlady lived on the floor below. He rented the room, food and other things from her. Whenever he went out, he had to pass in front of the landlady's kitchen, and the kitchen door was always open. Every time he passed there, he felt a strange fear and shame. His heart would pound. He owed the landlady a lot of money and was afraid to meet her. This wasn't because he was cowardly. In fact, for some time he had been very troubled and irritable. He had become so isolated that now he was afraid to meet not just the landlady, but anyone. Poverty had crushed him, but now his worry didn't bother him as much. He had abandoned everyday necessities. He had no interest in them anymore. Whatever the landlady did, he wasn't afraid of her now. But stopping on the stairs to listen to her meaningless talk, demands for money, complaints and lies, this he couldn't bear. So he would descend the stairs like a cat, quietly, and slip out without being seen. But today, when he came out onto the street in the evening, his fear intensified. "I'm thinking of doing such a big thing, and I'm afraid of these small matters." Yes, everything is in man's hands, but out of fear he lets it all go. That's true. What does man fear the most? Taking a new step, saying a new word. That's what he fears the most. But I'm talking too much. Maybe that's why I don't do anything. Or maybe I talk because I don't do anything. In the past month, I've learned to talk a lot, lying in my hole, thinking, like Jack the Giant Killer. Now, why am I going there? Can I do it? Is this real? It's just a joke, a toy to amuse the mind. Maybe it's just a toy. The street was very hot, no breeze. Crowds, dust, bricks, soil, everything scattered. The same special St. Petersburg stench that every person who can't leave the city in summer smells. All this was making the boy's troubled mind even more restless. The stench from the taverns, which were plentiful in that area, and the drunk people he kept seeing, even though it was a workday. This all made his condition worse. Deep hatred flashed on his handsome face. Otherwise he was very handsome. Tall, slim, well-built, large black eyes and dark brown hair. After a while he sank into deep thought, or rather, his mind went completely blank. He kept walking. He didn't care what was around him. Sometimes he muttered to himself. It had become a habit to talk to himself. Then he felt his thoughts were tangled and he was very weak. He hadn't eaten properly for 2 days. The boy wore such tattered old clothes that even people accustomed to poverty would be ashamed to go out in them. But in this neighborhood, no one was surprised by anyone's clothes. There was the horse market, dens of bad people, shopkeepers, laborers, and all kinds of people on the streets. Here, anyone could wear strange clothes and no one cared. But the young man's heart was full of anger and contempt, so he didn't worry about his youth's pride or his ragged clothes. But whenever he saw an acquaintance or old friend, he didn't like it. He never wanted to meet such people. Then suddenly a drunk man, who for some reason was being taken somewhere in a large cart pulled by heavy horses, shouting loudly, "Hey, German hat guy!" and pointed at him. The boy stopped abruptly and nervously grabbed his hat. On his head was a tall round hat from Zimmerman's, but it was very old, torn in places, dirty, without a brim and crooked on one side. He didn't feel shame, but some other strange fear settled in his heart. I knew it. I thought this was the worst. Even a small stupidity can ruin the whole plan. Yes, my hat is too strange. It looks odd. That's why everyone notices it. With these ragged clothes, I should wear some old cap, not this weird thing. No one wears such a hat. They'll recognize me from afar. The most important thing is not to be noticed. People will remember it. That'll be evidence. In such work, you shouldn't be seen at all. Small things are the biggest. Yes, such small things ruin everything. He didn't have to go far. He knew exactly 730 steps from his house gate to there. He had counted them once in a dreamy state. Back then he didn't believe in those dreams. He was just tormenting himself with scary and bold thoughts. Now, a month later, his thinking had changed. And even while laughing at himself, he started thinking of turning that scary dream into reality. Though he himself couldn't understand it properly, now he was really going to rehearse his plan, and with every step his fear and anxiety increased. With a sinking heart and trembling body, he reached a large house. One side faced the canal, the other the street. This house had small rooms for rent, and all kinds of people lived there. Tailors, blacksmiths, cooks, Germans, poor girls, small clerks, etc. There was always movement of people. There were 2 gates, 2 courtyards, 3 or 4 porters. The boy was happy that no porter saw him. He quietly entered through the right door and climbed the stairs. This was the back staircase, dark and narrow, but he knew it. He liked this darkness. In such a place, no one could recognize a face. If I'm so afraid now, what will happen when I have to do it for real? He was thinking as he reached the 4th floor. There, some laborers were blocking the way. They were taking out furniture from a house. He knew a German clerk lived there with his family. Now he was going to Germany. That means now only the old woman will be left on the 4th floor. That's good, he thought, and rang the bell at the old woman's house. The bell rang faintly, like a tin bell, not copper. Bells in such houses always sound like that. He had forgotten the sound of the bell. Now, hearing its strange sound, something came back to him. He was startled. His mind was very scared. After a while, the door opened a little. The old woman looked through the small opening with suspicious eyes. In the dark, her small eyes were shining, but seeing many people outside, she gained courage and opened the door fully. The young boy entered. There was a small, dark passage, separate from the kitchen. The old woman stood in front of him, looking at him silently with questioning eyes. She was an old and very dry woman, about 60 years old. Her eyes were sharp and evil-looking. Her nose was very pointed. Her hair was colourless, whitish, stuck with oil. Nothing tied on her head. On her thin, long neck, a dirty cloth was tied, and despite the heat, an old, yellow fur cap was on her shoulders. She kept coughing and groaning every now and then. The young boy was looking at her in some strange way. Perhaps that's why suspicion returned to the old woman's eyes. "Raskolnikov, I'm the student. I came a month ago," the boy said quickly in a low voice and bowed a little. "I remember, son. I remember well. You came here," the old woman said clearly, but her suspicious eyes were on his face. "And I've come again for the same work," Raskolnikov said, a bit hesitant, startled by the old woman's suspicious eyes. "Maybe she's always like this. I just didn't notice before," he thought to himself. The old woman paused for a moment, as if thinking. Then she moved aside and pointed to the room door, saying, "Come in, son." It was a small room where the young boy went. Yellow paper on the walls, flowers and white curtains on the windows. At that time, the room was lit by the setting sun's bright light. So, on that day too, the sun will shine like this. This thought suddenly came to Raskolnikov's mind. He quickly scanned the entire room, trying to remember everything. But there was nothing special in the room. All the furniture was very old and yellow wood. There was a sofa with a large crooked wooden back, a round table in front of the sofa, a dressing table with a mirror between the windows, chairs along the walls, 2 or 3 old pictures in yellow frames, with German girls holding birds. That's all. In one corner, a small lamp was burning in front of a small picture of God. Everything was very clean. The floor and furniture were shining. Everything clean. This is all Lizavetta's work, the boy thought. There was no dust anywhere in the whole house. Such cleanliness is found only in old women's houses. Raskolnikov thought and glanced again at the curtain hanging on the door to the other small room. In that room was the old woman's bed and wardrobe. He had never gone there before. "What do you want?" the old woman asked in a stern voice. She came into the room and stood in front of him again to look straight at his face. "I've brought something to pawn." He took out an old, flat silver watch from his pocket. There was a globe on the back. The chain was iron. "Your previous item's time is up. The month ended the day before yesterday. I'll bring the interest for the next month. Wait a bit. It's my right, son. I can wait if I want, or sell your item right now." "How much will you give for this watch, Alyona Ivanovna?" "You bring such small things, son. It's not worth much. Last time I gave 2 rubles for your ring, and that ring can be bought new in a shop for 1.5 rubles. "Give 4 rubles, madam. I'll redeem it. It was my father's. I'll get some money soon. 1.5 rubles and I'll deduct the interest now. If you want, only 1.5 rubles. Your choice." The old woman returned the watch to him. The boy took the watch. He was so angry that he almost left. But he stopped himself. He remembered there was no other place to go, and he had come here for another reason too. "Okay, take it," he said rudely. The old woman put her hand in her pocket, took out a bunch of keys, and went to the other room behind the curtain. The boy stood alone in the room, listening carefully and thinking. He heard her opening the wardrobe. Probably the top drawer, he thought. So the keys are always in the right pocket. All keys in one bunch, and among them, one key is the largest. Deep cuts. This can't be for the wardrobe, so there must be some other chest or safe. It's good to know. Safe keys are like that. But this is all so lowly. The old woman returned. "Here, son, we calculate 10 kopecks per ruble per month. So for 1.5 rubles, 15 kopecks I'll deduct now. And for the previous 2 rubles, you owe 20 kopecks interest now. Total 35 kopecks. So for the watch, I can give only 1 ruble 15 kopecks. Here you go." "What? Now only 1 ruble 15 kopecks?" "Yes, that's all." The boy took the money without arguing. He kept looking at the old woman. He was in no hurry to leave, as if he had something more to say or do, but he himself didn't know what. "I'll bring something else in 2 to 3 days, Alyona Ivanovna. Very valuable. Silver cigarette box. As soon as I get it back from my friend," he said, and stopped. "Okay, son, We'll talk then. Goodbye." "Do you always stay home alone? Doesn't your sister stay with you?" he asked casually as he was leaving. "What's it to you, son?" "Nothing, just asking. You get angry quickly." "Okay, goodbye, Alyona Ivanovna."
Raskolnikov came out, his mind completely confused. This confusion grew more. As he descended the stairs, he stopped 2 or 3 times as if suddenly struck by a thought. On the street, he said softly, "Oh God, this is all so dirty. Can I really do this? No, this is all nonsense. Useless," he said emphatically. "How could such dirty thoughts come to my mind? My heart can think such dirty things. Yes, very dirty, very lowly, very bad. And for the whole month." But no word or sound could describe his mind's state. The deep disgust and anxiety that weighed on his heart while going to the old woman's house had intensified so much. He couldn't understand how to escape himself. He was walking on the street like a drunk, without seeing anyone, bumping into people, and came to his senses only when he reached the next street. He looked around and found himself standing near a tavern. There were stairs going down to it. Just then 2 drunk people came out. Supporting each other and babbling, they climbed up. Raskolnikov, without thinking, immediately went down the stairs and stepped into the tavern. Until now, he had never been to a tavern, but now his head was spinning and his throat was very dry. He had a strong desire to drink cold beer, and he attributed his weakness to hunger. He sat at a dirty, sticky table, ordered a glass of beer and drank it all quickly. He immediately felt a bit relieved. Now his mind started clearing up. "This is all useless," he said hopefully. "There's no need to panic. It's just physical weakness. Just 1 glass of beer, a piece of dry bread, and the mind is sharp again, thoughts clear, and courage back. This is all so small and useless." But even while thinking this, he now felt lighter, as if a burden had suddenly lifted from his head. He was looking at the people in the room with a smile, but deep in his heart he knew this happiness was not real. There weren't many people in the tavern at that time. Besides those 2 drunk people he met on the stairs, about 5 men and a girl with an instrument had just left. After they left, the room became quiet and empty. Now there was 1 man who looked like a worker, a bit drunk, but not much, sitting in front of his beer mug. His companion was a large, heavy man, white beard, short coat, very drunk. He had fallen asleep on the bench. Sometimes, while sleeping, he would spread his arms, snap his fingers, shake his upper body, mumble some meaningless song. "Loved my wife for a year, loved my wife for a year," or suddenly wake up, walking in a crowded street, met that old acquaintance. But no one was interested in his words. His silent companion was looking at him with anger and suspicion. There was another man who looked like a retired clerk. He was sitting aside, occasionally sipping from his mug and looking at people. He too seemed troubled inside. Raskolnikov wasn't used to being in crowds, and, as mentioned before, he stayed away from any kind of company, especially these days. But now suddenly he felt like sitting with people. Something new was happening inside him, and he felt a thirst for companionship. After spending a whole month alone, in sorrow and fear, he was so tired that now he needed rest in any other world, even if just for a moment. And despite the surrounding dirt, he was happy sitting in the tavern. The tavern owner was in the other room, but he kept coming down the stairs to the main room. Every time, his black shiny boots with red edges showed first. Above that, a full coat and a very dirty black vest. No cloth around the neck, and his face shining with oil. At the counter stood a boy about 14 years old and another smaller boy who brought things. On the counter were sliced cucumbers, dry black bread pieces and fish pieces, all smelling very bad. There was a lot of stuffiness. The alcohol smell was so heavy that anyone could get drunk in 5 minutes. Sometimes we met strangers who interest us without saying a word. Raskolnikov felt the same seeing the man who was sitting a bit away and looked like a retired clerk. Later, Raskolnikov remembered this as if it was a sign. He kept looking at the clerk, perhaps because he was staring back,
looking for a chance to talk. The clerk looked at the other people, even the tavern owner, as if he was above them, as if they were beneath him, and there was no point talking to them. His face showed that. He was over 50, bald, white-haired, average height, and heavy-bodied. His face was swollen from drinking, yellowish-green colour and red eyes peeking from swollen eyelids. But there was a strange sparkle in his eyes, as if there were many emotions inside, perhaps intelligence too, but also a hint of madness. He wore a very old, torn black coat with only one button left, fastened as if saving the last sign of dignity. His shirt was crumpled, full of spots and stains, peeking out from the vest. As a clerk, he had no beard or moustache, but hadn't shaved for days. White stubble on his chin. His demeanour had something clerk-like, but he was restless, sometimes messing his hair, sometimes putting his head in his hands, elbows on the table. Finally, he looked straight at Raskolnikov and said loudly in a clear voice, "May I have permission to talk a bit with you, sir? Though your clothes aren't great, my experience tells me you're educated and not used to drinking. I've always respected education when it's with a true heart, and I'm a government official myself. My name is Marmeladov, government clerk. Have you ever been in government service?" "No, I'm studying," the young boy said. He was a bit surprised by Marmeladov's grand words and direct approach. Just now he wanted to sit with people, but now that someone was actually talking to him, he felt his old fear and irritation of meeting strangers returning. "So, you're a student, or were one," the clerk said happily. "I knew it. I have a lot of experience. A lot, sir." And he tapped his forehead, pleased with himself. "You've studied or been to some school or college? But listen." He stood up, staggered, picked up his jug and glass, and came to sit near Raskolnikov, a bit sideways. He was drunk, but spoke clearly and loudly. Just sometimes his words got tangled. He pounced on Raskolnikov as if he hadn't talked to anyone for months either. "Sir," he started almost seriously, "poverty is no sin, that's true, but I also know that drinking is no virtue, and that's an even bigger truth. But begging, sir, that's a sin. In poverty a man can save his dignity, but in begging, never. Beggars are thrown out of society not with a stick, but with a broom to humiliate more. And that's right, because in begging I humiliate myself. That's why I'm here. Sir, a month ago, Mr. Lebezyatnikov beat my wife, and my wife is very different from me, understand? May I ask, have you ever had to beg for a loan and not get it?" "Yes, it has happened. But what do you mean by completely useless?" "Completely useless means when you know in advance that the other won't give. Suppose there's a very respectable man, but you know for sure he won't give, and truth be told, why should he? He knows I won't return it. Will he give out of compassion? But Mr. Lebezyatnikov, who has modern ideas, says compassion is outdated these days. Science forbids it. And it's the same in England, so why would he give me? But even knowing he won't, I still go." "Then why do you go?" Raskolnikov asked. "Because when there's no one else, no place to go. Every man has to go somewhere. Sometimes a man is forced. When my daughter went out for the first time with the yellow ticket, I had to go. My daughter has a yellow passport," he said quickly, and looked at Raskolnikov with a strange gaze. "No matter, sir, no matter," he said quickly, when both boys burst out laughing and the owner smiled too. "No matter. These shaking heads don't affect me. Everyone knows everything, nothing hidden. Everything out in the open, and I accept it all. Not with hatred, with bowed head. That's the truth. That's the truth. Look at this man. Forgive me, young man. Can you not, or to say directly, looking at me, can you say I'm not a pig?" The young boy didn't say a word. "Okay," he said again, now more seriously when the laughter in the room quieted a bit. "Okay, suppose I'm a pig, but she is a respectable woman. My condition is like an animal. But Katerina Ivanovna, my wife, is educated and an officer's daughter. Suppose I'm a bad man, but she is good at heart. She has emotions, polished by education. Yet if only she could feel a bit for me. Sir, every man needs a place where someone understands his sorrow. But Katerina Ivanovna, though very kind-hearted, sometimes goes too far. And yet when she pulls my hair, I know she does it out of pity. I don't feel ashamed. She pulls my hair, young man, he said again while everyone was laughing. But God swear, if only once. But no, it's useless. No point saying. Many times it happened that she understood my sorrow. But that's my fate, and I'm an animal by nature. Absolutely. The hotel owner said, well. Yes, Marmeladov punched the table in passion. That's my fate. Do you know, sir, do you know? I even sold her stockings for alcohol. Not her shoes, that would be common, but stockings. Her stockings I sold for alcohol. I sold her shawl, too, which she got as a gift long ago. It was hers, not mine. And we live in a cold room. This winter she caught cold and started coughing. Blood from her mouth, too. We have 3 small children, and Katerina Ivanovna works from morning to evening. Cleans the house. Bathes and washes the children because she likes cleanliness since childhood. But her chest is weak, and she has an old illness. I feel everything. Do you think I don't feel? The more I drink, the more I feel sorrow. That's why I drink more. I seek comfort in alcohol. I drink to feel more sorrow. And as if defeated, he put his head on the table. Young man, he lifted his head again. I see some trouble on your face, too. I saw it when you entered. That's why I started talking to you. I'm not telling my life story in front of these useless people to make fun of myself. But I'm looking for an understanding and educated person. Know that my wife studied in a high school for daughters of rich people. At the end of school, she danced in front of everyone, in front of the governor, and got a gold medal and certificate. The medal. Yes, the medal was sold long ago. But the certificate is still in her trunk. She showed it to the landlady a few days ago. She always fights with the landlady, but she wants to tell someone about her old good days. I don't blame her. I don't blame her because all she has left is memories of the past, and everything else is turned to ashes. She's a courageous woman. Cleans the floor herself, eats only dry black bread, but never tolerates disrespect. That's why she didn't tolerate Mr. Lebeziatnikov's rudeness, and when he beat her, she fell ill not from the blow but from heart's sorrow. When I went to marry her, she was a widow, 3 children, one smaller than the other. She had left home for love with her first husband, who was an army officer. She loved her husband a lot, but he started gambling, got into troubles and died. He used to beat her, but she would beat back. I have proof. Yet today she cries, remembering her first husband, and taunts me too. And I'm happy. Happy that, even if only in dreams, she sometimes thinks she was happy. When he died, she was left alone with 3 children in a remote area, where I was at that time too. Her condition was so bad that I can't even dare to tell. Her relatives had abandoned her, and she was very proud, very much. And then, sir, then I, who was a widower myself, from my first wife I had a 14-year-old daughter. I proposed to her because I couldn't see her sorrow anymore. You can imagine how bad her condition was that an educated woman from a good family married me. But she did, crying, wringing her hands, she married me, because she had no place to go. Do you understand, sir? Do you understand when there's no place to go? No, you can't understand yet. And for a whole year I did my work honestly, didn't touch alcohol, because I have emotions too. But even then I couldn't make her happy. Then my job was lost, not my fault, due to office changes. Then I fell into alcohol. It's been a year and a half since. After many troubles and wanderings, we finally reached this big city, where there are tall buildings all around. Here I got a job again, got it and lost it again. Understand, sir? This time due to my fault, because I had become weak. Now we rent half a room from Amalia Fyodorovna Lipovexel. And how we survive? How we pay rent? I don't know. There are many other people there too. Dirt and disorders like a madhouse. Yes.
My first wife's daughter is grown up, and what she had to endure from her stepmother I won't tell. Katerina Ivanovna has goodness along with anger and irritability. Yes, but no point saying all this. Her name is Sonia. She didn't get any education, as you can understand. I tried 4 years ago to teach her geography and history, but I don't know much myself. No books, and whatever there were, well, now they're gone. So education stopped there. We only reached Cyrus of Persia. Now grown up, she read some romantic books, and recently Mr. Lebeziatnikov gave her a book, Lewis's Physiology. Have you read it? She read some to us too. That's her education. Now I want to ask you a question, sir. Do you think an honorable, poor girl can earn a lot honestly? Not even 15 kopecks if she's honorable and has no special talent. Even if she works without stopping. And listen, Ivan Ivanovich Klopstock, have you heard the name? He hasn't paid Sonia for the 6 shirts she made till today. Instead, he drove her away rudely, gave abuses saying the collars are crooked, and at home, small children hungry, and Katerina Ivanovna pacing in anger, her face always red due to illness. You live with us, eat, drink, don't earn anything. And what do we get to eat, when for 3 days there's not even a piece of bread for the children? I was lying then. Yes, drunk. But I heard Sonia's voice. She's very soft-hearted. Her voice is very low. Hair light golden, face very pale and thin. She said, Katerina Ivanovna, do I really have to do this? And Darya Frantsevna, who was a very bad woman and well known to the police, she had tried to reach Sonia 2 to 3 times through the landlady. So why not? Katerina Ivanovna said mockingly, Are you so precious that you're saving yourself? But don't blame her. Don't blame her, sir, don't. She wasn't in her senses then. Illness and hungry children's cries had made her mad, and she said it in sorrow. Katerina Ivanovna's nature is like that. If children cry from hunger, she starts beating them. At 6 o'clock I saw Sonia get up, put on a kerchief and shawl, and go out. Around 9 o'clock she returned, quietly came and put 30 rubles on the table in front of Katerina Ivanovna. Didn't say a word, didn't even look at her, just took out big green shawl, covered her head and face and lay on the bed, face to the wall. Just her small shoulders and body kept trembling, and I lay like that. Then I saw, young man, I saw Katerina Ivanovna quietly go to Sonia's small bed. She knelt down, kissed Sonia's feet all night, didn't get up, and then both slept in each other's arms. Together, yes. And I lay drunk. Marmeladov suddenly stopped as if his voice stuck. Then he quickly filled his glass, drank, and cleared his throat. Since then, sir, since then, due to a bad incident and complaints from bad people, in which Darya Frantsevna was foremost, the pretext was that she wasn't treated with respect. Since then, my daughter Sofya Semyonovna had to take the yellow ticket, and now she can't stay with us, because our landlady Amalia Fyodorovna doesn't tolerate it at all. Though earlier she supported Darya Frantsevna and Mr. Lebeziatnikov too. Yes, the whole fight was because of that Sonia. Earlier, he himself wanted to get close to Sonia, then suddenly started showing attitude. How can I, an educated man, stay in the same room with that girl? And Katerina Ivanovna didn't accept this. She supported Sonia, and that's how it all happened. Now Sonia comes to us only after dark. She comforts Katerina Ivanovna, gives whatever she can. She has her own room, at Kapernamov's, the tailor. He's lame. His mouth is crooked, and the whole family's mouths are crooked. His wife's mouth is crooked too. They all live in one room. But just had to put the axe head in the loop, and it would hang quietly under his arm inside the coat. And with his hand in the coat pocket, He could hold the axe handle so it doesn't move, and his coat was very large, like a sack. So from outside, no one could see that something is in his pocket hand. He had made this loop 2 weeks ago. After finishing this, he put his hand between his sofa and the floor in the small space, groped in the left corner, and took out that pawn item which he had prepared and hidden earlier. This item was actually a smooth spart wood piece, as big and thick as a silver cigarette case. He found this piece while walking in a courtyard near a workshop. Later, he added a thin, smooth iron strip to this wood, which he found on the same street. He placed the iron strip, which was a bit smaller than the wood, on it, and tied both tightly with thread. Then wrapped both in clean white paper and tied strongly, so it's hard to open. He did this so the old woman's attention gets on opening the tie, and he gets some time. He added the iron strip for weight, so the old woman doesn't immediately understand it's made of wood. He had hidden all this under the sofa earlier. He had just taken out the pawn item, when suddenly he heard someone's footstep. 6 o'clock had passed long ago. Long ago, oh God. He ran to the door, listened, then picked up his hat and went down the 13 stairs, quietly, like a cat, without noise. Now the most important work was left, stealing the axe from the kitchen. That the whole work has to be done with an axe, he had decided long ago. He had a pocket knife too, but he didn't trust it, and his strength even less, so he decided on the axe. By the way, there was a strange thing in all his final decisions. The firmer the decision, the more scary and foolish it seemed. No matter how much internal fight, he couldn't believe for a moment that he would really complete his plan. In fact, if it ever happened that everything was completely thought out and decided, and no issue left unfinished or uncertain, then it seemed he would abandon it all, because it's all meaningless, scary, and impossible. But still many things were uncertain. Getting the axe was no worry for him because it was the easiest. Nastasia was often out of the house, especially in the evening. She would go to neighbors or shop, and always leave the door open. The landlady always scolded her for that, so when the time comes, just quietly go to the kitchen and take the axe, and an hour later when all is done, put it back. But there was doubt in this too. Suppose he comes to put back the axe and finds Nastasia there. Then he'll have to wait till she goes out again. But if in the meantime Nastasia looks for the axe and makes a fuss, then suspicion will arise, or at least reason for suspicion. But these were all small things he hadn't even started thinking about, and truth be told, he had no time now. He was thinking about the big thing, and postponing small things until he believes in himself. But it seemed that could never happen. At least that's what he thought himself. He couldn't even imagine that he would ever stop thinking, get up, and go straight there. Even his previous experience, i.e., going to see the place, was not like the real thing. Just like testing himself. Like someone says, let's try. Why dream? And immediately his courage broke. He ran away from there in anger at himself. As for right or wrong, he had thought a lot about it. His mind had become very sharp. He couldn't find any right argument in himself to stop. But in the end he had stopped believing in himself and was stubbornly looking for arguments everywhere, as if someone was forcibly pulling him. In the beginning, long ago, he was stuck in one question. Why do almost all crimes not stay hidden and get caught so easily? And why do almost all criminals make such clear mistakes? Slowly he drew many strange conclusions, and in his thinking, the real reason is not in hiding the crime, but in the criminal himself. In every criminal, at the most important time, mind and courage fail, like childish stupidity. He believed that this mental weakness and courage failing comes at such time like an illness, slowly increases and reaches peak while committing the crime, and then goes away after some time. Whether crime happens from illness or illness comes with crime, he couldn't decide yet. When he reached these conclusions, he decided it couldn't happen to him. His mind and courage would stay right, because his intention is not a crime. How he thought this, let's leave it.
We've gone too far already. We can just add that, for him, the real difficulties of the work were just small things. Just keep full courage in mind. The rest will happen itself. When man knows every small thing. But this preparation never started. He had the least trust in his final decisions, and when the time came, everything happened different, like suddenly and without thinking. One small thing ruined all his plans. Before going down the stairs, when he reached near the landlady's kitchen, whose door was open as always, he peeked slowly to see if, in Nastasia's absence, the landlady herself is not there. Or at least her room is closed so she doesn't peek out when he goes for the axe. But he was surprised to see that Nastasia was not only home but washing clothes in the kitchen and hanging them. She saw him, stopped hanging clothes, and kept looking at him until he passed. He averted his eyes and passed as if he saw nothing. But now all was over. He had no axe. He was crushed inside. Why did I assume? He thought as he went out the door. Why did I assume she wouldn't be home at that time? Why? I made such a firm assumption. He was crushed inside and ashamed of himself. He could laugh at himself in anger. Inside him, a strange animal-like anger was boiling. He stood at the door, hesitating. Going out on the street just to walk seemed very bad. Returning to his room seemed even worse. And I lost such a good opportunity forever, he muttered, standing meaningless at the door. Right in front, the watchman's small dark room was open. Suddenly he was startled. In the watchman's room, just 2 steps away, something shining under the bench caught his eye. He looked around. No one. He tiptoed to the room, went down 2 steps and called the watchman in a low voice. Yes, not home. Probably nearby because the door is fully open. He quickly went to the axe. It was the axe, and took it out from under the bench, where it was between 2 wood pieces. He immediately put the axe in his made loop, put both hands in pockets, and came out of the room. No one saw him. When mind fails, the devil helps. He thought with a strange smile. This opportunity lightened his mind completely. He walked calmly, slowly so no one suspects. Didn't look much at passers-by. Tried not to meet eyes and be less visible. Suddenly he remembered his hat. Oh God, I had money the day before yesterday but didn't buy a cap. A curse came from his heart. His eyes fell in a shop. Saw the wall clock. 7:10 had passed. He had to hurry and go a bit round so to reach the house from the other side. When he thought all this before, he thought he'd be very afraid, but now he wasn't much afraid. Not at all. His attention was going to irrelevant things. But not for long. When he passed Yusupov Garden, he started thinking about making fountains and how they'd cool the whole square. Slowly he thought, if the summer garden is extended to Mars Field and perhaps joined to Mikhailovsky Palace Garden, how good it would be and how much benefit to the city. Then a question came to his mind. Why do people in big cities live where there's dirt, stench, and all kinds of evils? Where there are no gardens or fountains? Then he remembered walking in Haymarket lanes, and for a moment he returned to reality. What nonsense, I'm thinking. Better not think anything. Perhaps those taken to hanging cling to everything on the way like this. A lightning thought flashed in his mind, but he immediately dismissed it. Now he had reached near. There's the house, there's the gate. Suddenly a clock bell rang somewhere. What? Is it really 7:30? Impossible, the clock is fast. His luck, everything at the gate turned in his favor again. Just then, as if for him, a big hay cart was entering the gate. He hid behind it and quickly slipped to the other side of the gate. There people were shouting, fighting, but no one saw him. No man met him. Many windows of that big square courtyard were open.
But he didn't even lift his head. He didn't have the courage. The staircase to the old woman's room was right near the gate on the right,
and he was on the stairs. Taking a breath, putting hand on heart, and adjusting the axe once more, he started climbing, slowly, very carefully, listening every moment. But the stairs were completely deserted, all doors closed, no one met. On the first floor, a flat was open and painting was going on there, but they didn't notice him. He stopped, thought, and moved ahead. Of course, if these people weren't here, it would be better. But they are 2 floors below, and here's the 4th floor. Here's the door. Here's the opposite room that's empty. The flat below the old woman's is probably empty too. The nameplate on the door is torn. Those people have left. He was panting. For a moment, a thought came to his mind. Should I go back? But he didn't answer himself, and put his ear to the old woman's door to listen. Silence. All around. Then he listened carefully to the stairs too, long. Then last time, looked around, gathered himself, stood straight, and checked the axe in the loop once more. Am I looking very pale? Do I look very nervous? She suspects a lot. Should I wait a bit more, until my heart stops pounding? But his heart didn't calm. Instead, as if to tease, it pounded faster. Now he couldn't bear any more, slowly extended hand and rang the bell. Half a minute later, he rang again, louder. No answer. Ringing repeatedly was useless and not right. The old woman was home, that was sure, but she suspects a lot and was alone. He knew her habits a bit, and, once more, put ear to the door. Either his senses had sharpened a lot, which is hard to believe, or the sound was really clear. Anyway, suddenly he heard as if someone slowly touched the lock, and skirt sound near the door. Someone inside was standing very quietly near the lock and listening with ear to the door like him. He deliberately moved a bit and muttered something so not to seem hidden, then rang the bell 3rd time, but this time slowly, calmly, without hurry. Later, when that moment remembered, it stayed clear and forever in his mind. He couldn't understand how in such condition, when his mind was foggy, he became so clever. While he had no proper sense of his body, a moment later he heard the latch opening sound. The door opened a little like before, and again those 2 sharp and suspicious eyes stared at him from the dark. Then Raskolnikov got nervous and almost made a big mistake. He was afraid the old woman would get scared seeing him alone, and he didn't hope her suspicion would end. So he grabbed the door and pulled it towards himself, so the old woman doesn't close it again. Seeing this, the old woman didn't pull back, but didn't leave the door handle either, so he almost pulled her onto the stairs. Seeing she was standing in the door and not giving way, Raskolnikov advanced straight towards her. She stepped back in fear, wanted to say something but couldn't, and stared with wide eyes. "Hello, Alyona Ivanovna," he tried to say easily, but his voice didn't come. It broke, trembled. "I've come... something. I've brought something. But let's go inside in the light." And leaving her, he went straight into the room without invitation. The old woman ran after him, now her tongue loosened. "Oh God, what is it? Who is it? What do you want?" "Oh, Alyona Ivanovna, you know me? Raskolnikov. See, as I promised, I've brought the pawn item." And he extended the thing. The old woman looked at the thing for a moment, but immediately stared into the unwanted guest's eyes, very attentively, with bad intention, full of suspicion. A minute passed. He felt as if there was some laughter in the old woman's eyes, as if she understood everything. He felt his senses flying. He got scared. That if the old woman kept looking like that and didn't say anything, he might have run away. "Why are you looking at me like you don't know me?" he said suddenly in some anger. "Take it if you want, else I'll go somewhere else. I'm in a hurry." He didn't say this thinking. It just came out of his mouth. The old woman composed herself, and his firm tone brought back trust. "But, brother, suddenly, what is all this?" she asked, looking at the thing. "Silver cigarette box. I told you last time, remember?" She extended her hand. "But you look so pale, and your hands are trembling too. Have you bathed or what?" "Fever. Colour fades when you don't get to eat," he said with difficulty. His strength was low again, but his answer seemed true. The old woman took the thing. "What is this?" she asked again, looking closely at Raskolnikov and weighing the thing in hand. "A thing, cigarette box, silver, see it. It doesn't look like silver." How has he wrapped it? Trying to open the tie and turning towards the window for light. All windows were closed, despite heat. She completely turned away from him for a few seconds. He opened his coat and took the axe out of the loop, but didn't take it out fully. Just held it in right hand under the coat. His hands were very weak from fear. Every moment it felt like they were getting wooden. He was afraid the axe might fall. Suddenly he felt dizzy. "Why has he tied it like this?" the old woman said angrily, and moved towards him. Now he had no moment left. He took out the axe fully, swung with both hands, felt like he didn't even feel himself, and without much force, like a machine, hit the axe butt on the head. He felt he didn't use his full strength, but as soon as the first hit, strength returned. The old woman always kept her head open, her thin, light hair with whiteness, oiled, stuck like a rat's tail in a braid with a broken horn comb. She was very short, so the blow landed straight on the top of the head. She tried to scream, but sound was very low, and suddenly she fell down completely, hands on head, one hand still holding the thing. Then he hit once more, then once more on the same spot with the butt. Blood flowed like from an overturned glass. Body fell back. He stepped back, let it fall, and immediately bent to see her face. She was dead. Her eyes were bulging out, forehead and whole face twisted in pain. He put the axe on the ground near the corpse and immediately started groping her pocket, avoiding the bloody corpse. Same right pocket from which she took out the key last time. This time his mind was working perfectly, his head not dizzy, but his hands still trembling. He remembered later that he was working very carefully, attentively, full attention that blood doesn't stain his clothes. He quickly took out the keys, all keys like before tied in one steel ring. He ran to the bedroom with those keys. This room was very small. One wall had God's pictures, other side a big bed, very clean, with silk quilt. Third wall had a wardrobe. Strange thing was that as soon as he started putting keys in the wardrobe, as soon as keys sound came, suddenly he felt a jolt in whole body. A thought came to his mind again to leave everything and run, but it was for a moment. Now it was too late to go back. He smiled at himself, but then a scary thought came to his mind. He felt maybe the old woman is still alive, has come to senses. He left the wardrobe keys, ran back to the corpse, picked up the axe, and took the axe over the old woman's head again, but didn't hit. Now, no doubt, she was dead. Benton looked carefully again. Her head was split, pressed on one side. He was about to touch with finger, but pulled hand back.
Everything clear without touching. There was now a whole pool of blood. Suddenly, he saw a cord on her neck. He pulled, but the cord was strong, didn't break, slippery from blood. He tried to pull the cord from front of clothes, but something was stuck. In irritation, he took the axe up to cut the cord, but didn't hit out of fear. Then, quickly, with hand and axe both stained with blood, after 2 minutes' struggle, cut the cord, without putting axe on the corpse. He was right. A purse was tied in the cord. In the cord were 2 crosses, one wood, one copper, and one small silver god's image, and with it, a small old leather purse with steel clip. The purse was very full. Raskolnikov put it in pocket without looking, threw the crosses on the corpse and ran back to the bedroom with axe this time. Now he was in great hurry. He picked up the keys, started trying to open the lock again but couldn't succeed. Keys not fitting in lock. Now not because of trembling hands, but he was making mistake repeatedly. He saw one key is wrong, still trying the same. Suddenly he remembered that the big key with deep cuts can't be for the wardrobe. He had the same thought last time. It must be for some big box and perhaps everything is hidden in it. He left the wardrobe and immediately put hand under the bed. He knew old women keep boxes under the bed. There was a good big box, at least 1 yard long, curved lid on top.
covered with red leather and studded with steel nails. The cut key turned in it, and the lock opened. On top, under white cloth, was a red velvet coat. Inside, rabbit fur sewing, then a silk sari, then a shawl. Below, clothes after clothes, all probably pawned or left. As soon as he touched the clothes, a gold watch fell from under the coat.
He started turning everything quickly. Among clothes, many things found, all probably pawned. Bracelets, chains, earrings, pins, etc. Some in boxes, some wrapped in newspaper, carefully taped. Without opening or seeing anything, he started filling his pants and overcoat pockets quickly, but he couldn't take many things. Suddenly he heard footsteps in the room where the old woman was lying. He stopped there and became completely still. But everything was quiet, perhaps illusion. Then suddenly he clearly heard a light sound, as if someone groaned softly and released breath. Then 1-2 minutes, complete silence. He sat squatting near the box, waiting. Then suddenly jumped up, grabbed the axe and ran from the bedroom. In the middle of the room, Lizaveta was standing, holding a big bundle. She was staring at her dead sister, completely white, as if no strength left to scream. She saw Raskolnikov running from the bedroom. She trembled. Fear wave ran on her face. She raised hand, opened mouth, but couldn't scream. She slowly started going back to the corner, staring at Raskolnikov, but no sound came, as if couldn't breathe. Raskolnikov pounced on her with axe. Her mouth trembled in sorrow like children. As before, screaming in fear, children open mouth and stare at the fear. Poor Lizaveta was so stunned and scared that she didn't even put hands on her face while the axe was over her face. She just put empty left hand forward, but not on face, as if trying to push it away. The axe blade hit straight on the head, and in one blow the head split. She fell straight on the ground. Raskolnikov's mind went completely blank. He picked up her bundle, then left it and ran to the porch. Fear had completely overtaken him, especially after this second sudden murder. Now he wanted to run from there as soon as possible, if, at that time, he could think properly, understand all the difficulties of his situation, the useless, scary truth and stupidity. If he understood that now to get out, how many difficulties and perhaps how many sins to commit, then possible he would leave everything and go surrender himself. Not from fear, but from the disgust and loathing growing inside him. Now he wouldn't go back to that box or room in any condition. Slowly a strange emptiness started spreading on him, like dreaming. Many times he forgot himself or forgot what was necessary and got tangled in useless things. Yet he peeked in the kitchen and, seeing a half-filled bucket of water on the bench, thought of washing his hands and axe. His hands were sticky with blood. He put the axe blade in water, picked up soap from broken saucer near the window and started washing hands in the bucket. After hands clean, took out axe, washed blade and for 3 minutes rubbed the wood too with soap where blood was. Then wiped everything with sheet hanging there to dry. Then standing near window, looked at axe carefully. Now no mark on it, just wood a bit wet. He carefully put axe in overcoat loop. Then in kitchen's dim light looked at overcoat, pants and boots. At first glance, only spots on boots. He wet cloth and rubbed boots. But he knew he wasn't seeing properly. Maybe some big mark missed. He stood in middle of room thinking. Scary, tangled thoughts started coming to his mind. The thought that he has gone mad. Now he can't save himself. Perhaps what he's doing, he should do the opposite. "Oh God," he muttered. "I have to run, and ran to the porch. But the fear waiting there, he had never felt such fear. He stood and kept looking, couldn't believe his eyes. The door, the outer door, where he was standing a while ago and rang the bell. Now open. At least 6 inches open. No lock, no latch, whole time, all the time. Perhaps the old woman didn't close the door after him. Perhaps as precaution. But oh God, he had seen Lizaveta later too. And how he forgot that Lizaveta must have come in. She couldn't come through the wall.
He quickly went to the door and latched it. No, this is wrong too. I have to run away. He opened the latch, opened the door, and put ear to the stairs. He listened long. Somewhere far, perhaps at the gate, two voices, shouting loudly, fighting. What are these people fighting about? He waited patiently. Finally, everything quiet, as if someone stopped suddenly. They separated. He was about to go out when suddenly the door on the floor below opened loudly and someone started going down humming. Why do these people make so much noise? Came to his mind. Once again he closed the door and waited. Finally, everything quiet. No movement. He was just about to go to the stairs when he heard footsteps again. The footstep sound was coming from very far, from the bottom of the stairs. But he was completely sure that this someone is coming to this fourth floor, to this old woman's house. Why? Was there something special in the sound? Steps heavy, equal, and without hurry. Now he is past the first floor, now coming up. Now sound clearer. His breaths too fast, audible. Now third floor came. Here coming. Now suddenly he felt as if turned to stone, like in some scary dream where someone is chasing, about to catch, and you stay frozen, can't move. Finally, when that stranger was about to climb the fourth floor, then Raskolnikov suddenly composed himself and quickly went back inside the flat and closed the door, then held the hook quietly, without sound, and put in latch. His instinct worked. Doing this, he crouched near the door, holding breath. Now the stranger was near the door too, now both face to face. Like a while ago, he and the old woman, face to face, when door in between and he listening from outside.
The stranger pulled the bell button and rang loudly. As soon as tin bell rang, Raskolnikov felt as if something moved in the room. For some seconds he listened very attentively. The stranger rang again, waited, and suddenly, very strongly irritated, pulled the door handle. Raskolnikov saw the hook shaking in fear and thought in wonder that now the hook will come out. He was pulling so hard that really hook could break. He wanted to hold it, but fear of suspicion of being caught. Then he felt dizzy. I'll fall, came to his mind. But then the stranger started speaking and he came to senses. What's happened? Are they all sleeping or killed? Damn, he shouted in a thick voice. Hey, Alyona Ivanovna, old woman. Lizaveta Ivanovna. Hey, my queen, open the door. Damn, you all sleeping? What? And in anger he rang the bell a dozen times loudly. He was some special man, perhaps a close acquaintance. Just then on the nearby stairs, light, fast footstep sound came. Someone else coming too. Raskolnikov hadn't heard this sound before. What, no one home? The new man said, his voice happy and fast. He said to the first man, who was still ringing the bell, Evening, hello, coach. From his voice it seems he's quite young, Raskolnikov thought. Who knows, friend, I almost broke the lock, coach answered. But how do you recognize me? Hey, the day before yesterday I beat you 3 times in billiards at Rabunis. Oh, no one home. Strange. Also stupidity. That old woman were gone. I came for work. Yes, I had work with her too. Now what? Do go back only. Oh, and I thought I'd get money. Huh, young man said. Now have to leave. But she herself told this time. Had to come detouring, and the old woman doesn't go out of house whole year, and now suddenly gone for walk. Why not ask the watchman? We're gone and went back.
We damn. Can ask, but she doesn't go anywhere. And again he pulled the door. Damn, now nothing can be done. Let's go. Wait, young man suddenly said. See when you pull the door how it moves. So means no lock, just hooked from inside. Hear hook sound. So, hey, don't understand means someone home. If all go out, they'd lock from outside, not hook from inside. Hearing hook sound, hook put from inside. Means someone home, understand? Yes, and that's right, Koch said. So what are they doing inside? And he started shaking the door loudly. Wait, Young again said. Don't shake like that. Surely something wrong. See you ringing bell. Pulling door, still no one opening. So either both unconscious or what? Listen, let's call the watchman. He'll wake them. Okay.
Both started going down. "Wait. You stay here. I'll bring the watchman." "Why?" "Hey, good only." "Okay." "I'm studying law, understand? Clearly visible. Something wrong." Young man said warmly and ran down. Koch stayed. Then he touched the bell slowly. A light. Ting ting. Then, as if thinking and looking around, held the door pulled and released, to see it's only hooked. Then, breathing heavily, bent and started looking from lockhole. But key inside, nothing visible.
Raskolnikov stood, holding axe tightly. He was like in fever. He was ready to fight too, if they come in. When they were knocking door and talking, many times he felt to end everything and call them shouting from the other side of the door. Sometimes wanted to abuse them, make fun that they can't open the door even if they want. Just hurry, this thought came to his mind. But what is he doing? Time passing. 1 minute, then second. No one came. He started getting restless a bit. What's the trouble? He suddenly shouted, and unwillingly left his place and went down. Heavy boots thumping. His sounds went down too. Oh God, now what to do? Raskolnikov opened hook, opened door. No sound. Suddenly, without thinking, he came out, closed door properly, and started going down. He had gone down 3 floors when suddenly, fast sound from below. Now where to go? No place to hide. He was about to turn back to the flat. "Hey, catch!" running away. From some flat below, someone ran out, shouting and falling downstairs, running. Shouting remained. "Mitka! Mitka! 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 Catch!" Sound turned to sneeze. Last sound came from courtyard. Everything quiet. But same time, many people, loud talking, fast sound, started climbing stairs. They were 3 or 4. He recognized that Young's fast voice. He came. Full of despair, he went straight towards them. Whatever happens, came to his mind. If they stop him, all over. If let go, still all over. Because they'll recognize him. They coming closer. Just 1 floor away. And suddenly he saw escapeway. On his right, a few steps away, an empty flat. Door fully open. Same flat where on 2nd floor painters were working, and which was open just for him now. Perhaps same people who just ran down shouting. Floor freshly painted. In middle of room, bucket and broken color pot and brush lying.
In one moment he went inside that open door and hid behind wall. Right time.
Then they reached upper landing. Then they went ahead to 4th floor. He waited, then quietly came out and ran downstairs. No one on stairs, no one at door. He quickly came out door and turned left on street. He knew well that right now they have reached the flat. Surprised seeing door open because just a while ago they left it closed. Now seeing corpses, and not even a minute passed, they'll understand. Completely know that killer was there just now and hid or escaped. Perhaps they'll understand too that he hid an empty flat when they were going up. But despite all this, he couldn't walk fast, because next turn still 100 yards away. Should he go out from some other gate to some unknown lane? No, useless. Should throw axe? Should take horse cart? Useless, all useless. Finally he reached the turn, turned there, half dead, half alive. Now he felt a bit safe. Here much crowd, and he got lost in it like a grain in sand. But what he endured made him so weak that he could barely walk, sweat flowing from whole body, neck completely wet. Oh, brother ran a lot. Someone taunted him when he came to Canal Bank. Now his senses were very low, and as he went further, condition worsened. He just remembered that when he reached Canal Bank, seeing less people, he got nervous that he might be more noticeable, and even thought of turning back. He was falling from exhaustion, yet took a long detour to his house from a completely different direction. He wasn't properly conscious when past his house gate. He had reached stairs, then remembered axe. Now big difficulty in front. Put back axe, and without coming in anyone's notice, do this.
He was in so much exhaustion and confusion that he couldn't even think it would be better not to put back axe, throw somewhere outside later. But luck, everything fine. Watchman's door closed but no lock, so perhaps Watchman home. But he didn't have strength to think that went straight to same door and opened it. If Watchman asked, "What do you want?" perhaps he would hand axe straight to him. But again, Watchman not home, and he put axe back under bench and put woodpiece too like before. No one met him. No one. On the way to his room, landlady's door closed too. As soon as reached his room, fell on sofa. He didn't sleep, just went into a strange unconsciousness. If someone came to his room, then he would immediately get up screaming, in his mind just absurd and broken thoughts swirling. But he couldn't catch even one, couldn't stick to one, no matter how much try.